Jacob's two wives. Jacob is leaving Beersheba and heading north. He's actually traveling along the spine of Israel, the backbone, the central mountains that run right straight up through the middle. There's a ridge that runs across the top. Today it's referred to the highway of the patriarchs. It's still there today. It's still being used. I have traveled it many times. It's actually Highway 60 now as you travel north. When you read the scriptures, you think that maybe Jacob left Beersheba that morning and he's spending the first night at Bethel. Well, that's not the case at all. It's about 48 miles of walking to get there. The thing that strikes me is that, and I don't understand it, is that he refers later on that he's leaving Canaan with only a walking stick. That's strange. Isaac has sent him away with no provisions for this wife that he is supposed to get. Now, when Abraham sent Eliezer up this very same highway to get a wife for his son, he sent 10 camels with him, loaded down with supplies and gifts. But Isaac is sending his son with only a walking stick. It gets a little bit of an insight on how Isaac was not pleased with Jacob at all. Well, he goes to a place called Bethel. Bethel is the second most mentioned name in the Old Testament. Abraham, when he came in the land, stopped at Bethel. When he came back from Egypt, he went back to Bethel. Jacob now is here at Bethel. When there's a civil war in Israel, the people go to Bethel to pray. Samuel, when he sets up several locations to judge the people, one of those places was Bethel. We even have Jeroboam when he sets up 2 calves to be worshiped. One of them was here at Bethel. So King Josiah, when he comes to desecrate that altar, comes to Bethel. There's many times. I find it interesting that it's mentioned so much in the Old Testament, and yet hardly any tourists go there. Matter of fact, when we take our group to Bethel, we're the only tour bus there. We drive into a Jewish kibbutz where we go to the backside where we can look over the fence over at Bethel. After we're done telling our stories, those who are a little bit more adventurous can actually hike over and actually go to Bethel. I think it's a great spot. The interesting thing is that when Jacob wakes up in the morning, he has slept with his head on a rock. He lifts that rock up and he anoints it. And it's been known as then Jacob's pillar. There's an interesting tradition about that pillar. The tradition says that it ends up that later on, it ends up in Jerusalem. And then years after that, it goes to Spain, finally to Ireland. Then the Scots come and get it and take it to Scotland, and they put it at the place. There's a throne that sits over the top of it, and that's where they anointed all of their kings. So when the King of Scotland became a king of England, they moved that stone to Westminster and again put at the underneath the throne where all the king and queens of England are anointed, and it's still there today. Whether that's true, I personally don't think that's what's happened, but that's what that pillar is called. When he gets to Laban's house and finds he has 2 daughters, one of them is Leah, and it describes her as having tender eyes. As I was growing up, I was always told that meant she had weak eyes, that she couldn't see very well. And it's probably an indication that she wasn't as beautiful, that she was homely. Only to find out that when you have the Jewish writers talking about their forefathers and foremothers, probably wouldn't have pointed out some some weakness like that. In actuality, the word actually means soft, beautiful eyes. It was a striking thing about her. It was her place of beauty. Where she had soft, beautiful eyes, Rachel was just beautiful all over. Laban's feast. Interesting, as you look at this word, this particular feast that is referred to as a drinking feast. I imagine that he wanted Jacob to have a lot of drink that day, so that when he goes into that dark tent to take his veiled wife, that he wasn't quite as conscious as he might have been. And I think in a sense, when Jacob wakes up, he has more than one reason to have a hangover. When it says that he has to work another 7 years for Rachel, now he doesn't have to wait 7 years to get her. He just has to work another 7 years. He only has to wait 1 week, 7 days. That 7 days was actually a wedding week. A wedding lasted for 7 days. It wouldn't have been proper for him to take another wife while he's still in the wedding of his first wife. During all of this, you have Esau. Esau, while Jacob is going to his mother's family, Esau goes to Ishmael's family. And there he marries one of Ishmael's daughters. So while Jacob is marrying the niece of his mother, Esau is marrying the niece of his father. Both of them marrying their cousin. Interesting how this comes down to us today. Well, come back when we give you more insights on the story.